Okay, can someone riddle me this? This flight from Buenos Aires to Qatar, so they decide to stop all the way up in Rome. Like, if we're on a supposed globe, why not just go straight across Africa? Because from Buenos Aires to Qatar, look, Rome is on the way. Here's another one. This flight from Chicago to Doha, emergency happened along the way, so they landed in Moscow. Why would they land all the way in Moscow if we're on a supposed globe? Like, well, from Chicago to Doha, look, Moscow is along the way. I find this very interesting. If we're on a globe, this has never happened. And what I mean by this is, take this flight for example. From Cape Town to Auckland, like, the quickest way would be to fly over Antarctica, right? No, they decide that's not the quickest way to go. They decide to fly all the way to Dubai, then Auckland. Maybe because that is not a continent, it's actually an ice wall that surrounds us. Take this flight for example, but this one will really hurt your head. This flight from Buenos Aires to Perth, Australia, like the quickest way would just to fly over Antarctica. Doesn't matter which way you look at it, from Buenos Aires to Perth, Australia, it crosses the equator twice. Guys, I could do this all day long. Flight Pass proves that the Earth is flat.
The globe Earth theory is a satanic witchcraft spell. Watch this.
Oh man, we got to get all these medieval ideas out of your head.
Notice at the beginning there he said you gotta get all these medieval ideas out of your head and start allowing these new ideas to come in. Remember, he was a witch. This new idea was not actually accepted by anyone back then. And frankly, every single ancient civilization had the same depiction of the universe. The only ones to deny this have been NASA. And NASA actually translates in Hebrew to deceive or to beguile. Right? They also have a serpent tongue or a snake tongue going through their logo. The serpent was the one who deceived Adam and Eve to eat the forbidden fruit in the Bible. Don't fall for this trick. You live in the center of God's creation, and He sits directly above the firmament. You are the apple of His eye.
The Falklands War in 1978, according to Globe Tards.
You know what sucks? When you have a dirty little secret that you watch this crap and there's such a beautiful, beautiful flat earth proof in the show episode that you just got to post on it. So that's what I'm doing. Someone yesterday happened to send me an article trying to debunk flat earth, and this is it. And basically what it says is, if we lived on the flat earth with the sun circling around us, like flat earthers believe, what we would see with our own eyes is the sun above head being big, and then as it set due to perspective and actually getting further away from us, not us revolving, that we should see the sun get smaller. And most of the time we don't see that because there's something called atmospheric lensing, where if the atmosphere is thick, it's going, as the sun sets, it's not going to get smaller, but it might actually get bigger. But I want to thank Bachelor Nation and Bachelor in Paradise and ABC for providing this lovely shot without a lot of atmosphere, and you actually see it from above head. As it's setting, it gets smaller. The article literally says, we would notice this if the earth was flat and the sun was local and revolving around us, but it says we don't see that. But we do see that. So thank you.
Oh my silly glurf. You've never answered why you haven't used an Earth's curvature calculator. Like, why are you trolling me, bro? I talk about it all the time. I try to teach you silly glurfs, you globe believers that don't understand the convexity of your ball, that it's actually really simple to figure this out. I mean, first and foremost, you really should know the math, but if you can't figure out the math, just use an Earth's curvature calculator. All of them are the same. They all reflect 8 inches per mile squared. What don't you understand about that? See, there's a difference between a glurf and a globe believer. Glurfs just are in denial all day long. They make up things, dart lawn, you come up with completely fabricated stories. Now, a globe believer like myself, you're just a person that was indoctrinated and believes in the globe. So, the tangent, yes, that's how you figure out the math of the drop. That's going to give us our hidden height. That's going to give us the base to every single equation. If you can't agree that your ball curves at 8 inches per mile squared, then you have no idea about the math. Try again, silly glurf. You're clueless. Absolutely clueless. Figure it out.
I'm about to show y'all what's in the middle of the flat earth. This information is coming from the book of Enoch. Let's see what the book of Enoch says about the middle of the earth. This is the Repus Negra. The middle of the earth is described exactly like this in the book of Enoch. 1 Enoch chapter 26 says, "And I went from thence to the middle of the earth." Verse 2, "And there I saw a holy mountain." Verse 2, "Underneath the mountain to the east there was a stream, and it flowed towards the south." Verse 3, "And I saw towards the east another mountain higher than this, and between them a deep and narrow ravine, and it also ran a stream underneath the mountain." Verse 4, "And to the west thereof there was another mountain, lower than the former and of small elevation, and a ravine deep and dry between them." Verse 4, "And another deep and dry ravine was at the extremities of the 3 mountains." Verse 5, "And all the ravines were deep and narrow, being formed of hard rock, and trees were not planted upon them. And I marveled at the rocks, and I marveled at the ravine, yea, I marveled very much." This is an illustration of what Enoch possibly could have seen in the middle of the earth. And I believe that the North Star sits above this mountain.
We got the book of Enoch, chapter 17, verses 2 and 3. "And they brought me to a place of darkness, into a mountain, the point of whose summit reached heaven. And I saw the places of the luminaries and the treasures of the stars."
So here's a wind tracker on Google Earth. This video is going to show you what the wind patterns look like in the North Pole. This is the North Pole. Why is it making this pattern?
It's located in the center of the North Pole. And it's the center of the Earth magnetic field, known as the Taurus field. That black thing in the center of the whirlwind is the tallest mountain on Earth, far more taller than the Mount Everest. It's so tall that even it keeps reaching out the clouds. It's the Roots Negro, or the Black Rock, also known as Mount Merit. Some people also called it Mount Zion. You wouldn't find this massive mountain existence in mainstream science and media because it's deliberate.
So on the flat earth, there is only a magnetic north. There is no such thing as a magnetic south pole. No matter what, a compass will always point to the center. Our magnetic field is a torus field. This is an example of our torus field. This is a torus field. This is our magnetic field. And this is how the torus field works on the flat earth. Again, there is no opposing pole at the edge. The entire flat earth is diamagnetic. Everything is electromagnetic. So we have a magnetic North Pole, and we have the sun and the moon creating our electromagnetic field. And this is how we get hurricanes and water currents. We live under an electromagnetic dome battery.
Here's some strong evidence that the firmament is real. I cut this so it's not so long, but you see Elon shooting a rocket ship, and you will see what happens here. And man, you know, I'm ignorant on science, right? People will explain this away, but it sure looks like this rocket hit the firmament. Like, what is that? That looks like it hit the firmament. That is insane. Unbelievable. Again, I am sure they have some explanation to this with science and the atmosphere and what happened up here, and that is what you are seeing. It's not the firmament, right? But just trying to use our eyeballs and view what we just viewed sure looks like they shot a rocket and it hit something up there and it blew up, and it looks like the waters above, right? That is the idea of the firmament. This is a topic that I am not dogmatic on, okay? The idea of flat earth to globe earth to the firmament. I mean, I do believe in a firmament. I do believe that we could be in a globe and there's a firmament above the globe as well, right? The Van Allen belt is what they would say, the secular mindset. But again, I don't ride or die on either side. I see both sides. I understand both mindsets. I always try to go to the root cause or root issue, though, and I do see more on the side of us living on some type of flat or oval or hollow earth or something else that NASA is lying about, because I don't believe NASA for a second. They are liars. They are just liars, complete serpent tongue logo, everything made from Nazi Germany, you know, all the Nazi scientists that came over here and created NASA. So I don't believe them, right? But now with that, doesn't mean you can throw the baby out with the bathwater, but I see why the lie of the globe earth would be so critical, because with that lie hangs the lie of evolution, hangs the lie of, you know, the Big Bang Theory and no God. Because if you're able to take that away, if it is a flat earth, that completely wipes away the lie of evolution and all of these other theories, right? So I get that. I totally get it. I understand the different opinions. And oh, look, over Lake Michigan, you can see the skyline that shows there should be a curvature. Oh, there's no curvature anywhere. No one's seen the curvature. You have flight pilots that, oh no, there is no curvature. One thing I've always thought, though, is if we are a globe spinning through space at whatever rate we are, how are the stars so perfectly aligned? And it always, we know in 100 years where the stars will be, right? Like, it's so perfect. It's so perfect. Not to mention the moon being the perfect size to eclipse the sun, and not to mention the moon doesn't spin. The moon, we see the same face of the moon like a satellite. That's also trippy. So again, I don't know. You know, I feel like Forrest Gump. I'm not a smart man. Like, I'm not a smart guy. Okay, the Lord can use a jackass. He can use me, and that's what he's done here on this app. I do my best to try to do research and see things, whatever, try to do the best to reason and discern and pray on the Lord for all understanding, not my own. But when I watch something like this, it's like, I got to trust my eyeballs, right? I got to trust my eyeballs. And I just saw a rocket ship shoot straight up and just explode by looking like it hit some type of firmament. Like, I mean, you could do with it as you will. You could think whatever you want. But this video is pretty cool. Kind of convincing, in my opinion, that the firmament is real. But again, this is my opinion. You can believe whatever you want. I see both sides. I understand the different opinions.
Stop believing satellites are orbiting in space. All satellites are attached to helium balloons, as they have been since the 1950s. NASA is the world's largest consumer of helium. Satellites in space do not exist. The Earth is flat.
soccer in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, according to Globe Tards.
Hello, all my heliosexual friends. Listen, we have some discussion about Antarctica going on here. Someone said, well, Antarctica was circumnavigated, and that's a fact. Well, it's not really a fact because you're just believing what someone told you. A fact would be based upon your personal experience, and I'm pretty sure you haven't circumnavigated Antarctica, but if you have, I would like to see the specs on that. That said, this is the bottom of the so-called globular Earth, and I have a question. How do you think this island is circumnavigated with a compass? When the compass, if you're on the bottom of the sphere, the compass is going to point in a circle. It probably doesn't even work at all. It probably spins in Antarctica as it does at the North Pole. Right? So that when you hold your compass flat like this, what happens though when you're in Antarctica is that the compass points north, which is the center of the flat disk plane. Yeah, it's always going to point to the center. So as you're going around Antarctica here on your island, on your imaginary globe, how is the compass pointing north? It wouldn't do that, okay? It wouldn't do that on a sphere when north is up and not in all directions around you. So let's say you did circumnavigate this island. As you're traversing this, you're keeping the island, you know, to your right. You're traveling around in a circle. Here we go. And so you see that the ice wall, which is actually a vast plain. We don't know how far it extends, but it's vast, right? And you can't go any further than they allow you to. You can only go so far because there's a treaty saying you can't go any further than that. So you have these boats that are just following the edge of the coastline of this so-called island when it could actually be the perimeter of a circle and not an island. And you wouldn't know the difference because the compass is pointing north, which is the center of the disk. So you're going around this ice wall like this, thinking that it's an island when it's actually, you're circumnavigating the entire world. And that's why so many people that say they have tried to so-called circumnavigate Antarctica say that it was much further than what they thought it would be. This is a tourist field. All cultures understood this model of the world. They all did. This is provable with physics and math. The model is supported with logic and reason. So it's not a question of whether it's valid or not. The flat earth model is based upon actual math and physics. So it's a question of which model do you think applies to your reality. So we have so many people that detest the flat earth model. Probably a lot of them are trolls that are psyops, send them in to troll people. But a lot of people are just ignorant. They don't actually research the theory. And a lot of these people believe all of the other conspiracy theories, you know. They believe all these other conspiracy theories, yet they don't believe this one thing. The Vatican lies to you, and the governments lie to you, corporations lie to you, but you believe them on this one thing. Because remember, the Vatican is the one who started the globe theory. They are the ones that got Copernicus to do the math to come up with the inverted model called the heliocentric model.
Don't waste any more time. Visit the links above now and order my book 16 Emergency Landings Proving Flat Earth. Visit my online store now and order the new enhanced Gleason's Flat Earth map. This map used to be in every school and library in the nation before NASA was created in 1958, when the maps were ordered removed. Have your Gleason's map hanging on the wall in your house where no government can take it down. Here you see it hanging on a wall in the house of the late Charles K. Johnson. Here is a quote from the book 1984 by George Orwell. Every record has been destroyed or falsified, every book rewritten, every picture has been repainted, every statue and street building has been renamed, every date has been altered, and the process is continuing day by day and minute by minute. History has stopped. Order your map now.